Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Powder speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I don't know how much time I have today because we're on supply run again, but also I haven't looped around to see my grandmother yet. Usually I do that before I go, and then I do the filming during. But for now, because we went round the back this time, for some reason we just came here. I think it's easier to load stuff off. So because my aunt's there, and my mum is supplying her with things. Let's go into here. Ah, yes. The Enchanted Forest within, or whatever it was. I remember that my dad actually took us round here all the time, and he was talking about the creatures that lied here or something like that, and I made up the owls that were instead called the Ewals, and they were immune to dementors, and then he said when they screech that they form a Patronus. I think I told this story before. Well, they think the Patronus is coming after them. Yeah, I think I said something like that one other time I was here. I'm not quite sure. Who knows, you do this for a year and then suddenly you forget everything. You never know. But yeah, that was at the very beginning of my Harry Potter phase, so... Which it isn't really a phase, it's more of a appreciation. So yeah, I'm scanning the perimeter here. There seem to be plenty of folk on the outside. But oh well, not to worry. One can surely stay 6 feet apart from everyone else. Quite easily. So you know what, that's fine. But yeah, I don't know, I've got Harry Potter on the brain recently because we've been talking about the neighbourhood quizzes and everything. And the quizzes are getting more and more complicated as we go along. They're getting easier. But yeah, I think actually for this week we weren't hosting, so we were participating. The theme was the decades. And I think I said before that I was going to swap out for my dad because there was no way that I was going to do well on a quiz about the decades when everyone else in that quiz has lived through so many more decades than myself. Turns out we won. Yeah, we actually won. So I guess I didn't have to sort myself out after all. I feel like I knew a lot of the political questions, like who was the first president of Russia from after the USSR in 1991, which was Boris Yeltsin. I have to thank my history class for that. But yeah, we surprisingly did well on the 1950s round. I don't remember what the questions were, but we did well for some reason. So that was our best round up until the 90s. So there you go. Apparently I know about the 50s. Well, as you know, it was mostly my mum filling in the questions then. I kind of took over as we went along. Who knows? I think maybe everyone else filtered out. They say that when they started raising children, they end up having disconnecting from the world, which makes sense because then the world connects back with them. I don't know where I was going with that. Somewhere. Point is, we won, and I was very surprised because that's the first quiz that I personally have been the winning team for since a basketball quiz 4 years ago. Yeah, I don't tend to win a lot of quizzes. Quite disappointingly so. Which way should I go? Down that way. Yeah, because otherwise I'll end up looping around too quickly. I haven't even given them much of the week's update. Because we've been planning other quizzes as well, my mum and I. We're going to do the same quiz that we did last week for the neighbours, and also for her side of the family. For my dad's side of the family, we're thinking of doing that maybe on Sunday. Because we've got the other one to host for the neighbours, a new one, on Saturday. So yeah, which I guess means I also have to like get all the clips ready because we have got a movie round this time. Although yeah, actually that's a good point. We haven't talked about that one yet. Because honestly, the classic TV round was a favourite round last time for both the neighbours and the family. Because it was a formula break. Because all the other questions were like, what is this thing? Who did what? You know, that kind of thing. But suddenly with the other ones, it's, you know, what the line is. And that's all TV that people will remember. Honestly, I hope that family will remember it because they introduced me to the TV shows in the first place. So they should know a lot of them, especially the famous lines. My cousin was just saying today that you can actually, you have the, because sometimes it's the terminology, like, for example, if you say, like, don't tell him Pike versus don't tell him your name Pike, which was the wrong answer for the one we selected. Yeah, it just happens like that. So sometimes you don't remember. Sometimes you think, oh yeah, you know what the next line is, but can you remember the next line? Like, things that you should know and things that you shouldn't. That happens too. So yeah, I think that's the non-YouTube stuff out of the way. And just make my dad happy. We're all safe. We're all content, and we're all doing rather well. As a list that appears so, I haven't seen everyone yet, but as far as the family household goes, we're doing pretty good. So pretty well there. So that's all fine. Yeah. As for the YouTube stuff, well. As you've seen, not much has like become publicly known, but it's another like behind the scenes week. Yes, I did another Pixelmon Generations Adventure episode yesterday, and I think that one went well. I didn't like publicize it too much. It's not like I'm relying on that show anymore, and because everything else like I'm trying to do in the background is taking up longer than expected. For Puppy Love, we've got all the lines for episode 1 except for one actress. So we have so we're just waiting for her to submit, and then I'll carry on. I've got as far as I can in the editing process, and she's going through a few things, so don't like bash her for it. So I'm not trying to like start a witch hunt or anything, because that's not the case. Like, I understand life happens, but yes, so you know, Puppy Love is in fact being produced. It's not going to be a second Stromanoff where we cast everyone and then it all just fades into obscurity. No, we put far too much effort into this. With Stromanoff, we wrote episode 1 and a bit of episode 4 because Jaden wanted to skip ahead. In this instance, with Puppy Love, we're on episode 7, and apparently it actually was impressive enough that even my fellow creative writing student actually wanted to hear more from it. So clearly that's good, and he's working on a gay story of his own. So it appears to be in the right direction. Although to be honest, like, his one is going to be way better because it's a prose work, and also he's doing a lot of research into different aspects of LGBT. I'm just going off mostly instinct and focusing on the romance aspect. Because ultimately the thing is that with gay love stories, I like them to be love stories first and gay second. I know that's going to be a very unpopular thing to say in terms of, you know, since mostly because of Mimi's audience who are waiting for that to come out, but and Mimi herself as well probably is always telling me, oh yeah, it has to be gay first, and screaming at her computer right now. Well, see, the thing is that you can basically, with a lot of my characters, they're interchangeable. You don't have to have one of them be, to do in terms of gender. Like, most of them don't have to be a boy or a girl. Like, I could have just easily done the mutant boy and been happy with it, rather than the mutant girl. It just happened that I decided to do the mutant girl instead of mutant boy. It's usually a 50-50 with that. It's like whoever I come up with. Although actually, to be fair, mutant girl was based on the fact that Morwenna was already a designed character beforehand. So that's not really a fair example. But yeah, in terms of Julius and Raina, it could have been Julia and Robert, I don't know. That's my point, basically. It doesn't ultimately matter, because personality traits, you know, transcend the barriers of gender. So, it's not... I'm not too concerned. So basically, I could have made it a lesbian love story, I could have made it a straight love story, anything. And of course, the thing is that obviously with gay love stories, you get homophobia plots. And to be honest, I'm not really out to tackle that necessarily. Like, maybe a little bit. It's like how Mimi dabbled in that with Andrew's dad in Taming the Bad Boy, and then also Andrew in the first episode going, being gay is a sin, you know, that kind of thing. And then he turns to be gay himself, because of course he does, because everyone's gay, except Wendy. But yeah, in terms of this one, it doesn't matter, basically. So, I just wanted to write a romance story, and happened to think, you know what, let's just go with the gay love story, why not? Again, interchangeable. So what else? Yeah, so that we do have another, you know, the list of departures seems to almost be widening a lot more. There is another person who is considering quitting Buttercore. I can say who that is, because she made a video herself. Although, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. She got into an argument, and then she started thinking, oh well, I might as well go, I'm not making anyone happy here, yada yada. But to be honest, the person she got in the argument with and had the outburst on kind of deserved it in a way, because he's been giving us a lot of all of us a hard time, especially the writers, because you know those fans that you get that are constantly demanding like new things, like when is this going to come out? What's going to happen next? You know, do this, do that. Partly it's a rite of passage. It's almost like, yes, someone enjoys your work enough to actually be producing such a response, and sometimes even like producing content as a response to it. But on the other hand, if you end up not being able to do something, or you have other stuff going on in your life or whatever, or you just want to write something else at a particular moment, or maybe want to relax and not write at all, it can end up being quite annoying. So that's what happens, especially when it's not that person's place to really comment. Like, I can be demanding at times. I can tell people like, oh yeah, send in your lines, you know, I need this, I need that, like, if they're working for me. But then if I'm in charge of the project itself, but otherwise I'll take a step back and let people do it, you know. I'm not particularly concerned either way. When something comes out, it will come out when it's ready and when people are happy with it. That's why I stopped doing the Mutant Girls schedule, you know, that I did for season 1, because I wasn't happy with a lot of stuff that I made, because I gave myself that time crunch. And yes, people say that when you work towards a deadline, you do better. In this case, I don't really agree. Ultimately, what happened was, I just ended up burnt out, not wanting to like finish it super quickly, not even enjoying New Year's Eve, of all things. Like, I always do Final Countdown around New Year's Eve anyway, but I just added, you know, the Amusing Girl episode 10, part 2, on to myself for that. So I really wasn't helping myself. So yeah, people might like to work to a deadline to get something to be really good, but in my case, it doesn't work like that. So being rushed, I can understand where this person came from, and you know, the one who had the argument. I can understand where she came from and why she wanted to stop that from happening again, and why she was saying that I wanted to call that person out for insisting so much. And yeah, I completely understand, because that's exactly what he's done to me. So she is in her right to complain. Even if people like had a bit of a backlash, I know that a lot of them secretly think the same. So I'm not quite sure what the issue is. But in any case, she said also there's other stuff like feelings and such that she didn't elaborate on. I don't know. I really hope she doesn't go, because she's been with us for so long, and also because if she doesn't like come back for that, she might just end up leaving Discord. She's threatened to leave Discord like several times before, even though every time she comes back into Discord, there's someone there to cheer her up. It's almost like it seems to be like a cycle of denial almost. Like, oh no, I have to go because you guys can't help me. And then it turns out that even if we can't like solve a problem for good, you end up at least be able to cheer someone up. And see, that's the thing that Pika said to me a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, it was like last year. But he said that because people can't, like, unless you're like a trained therapist or something, you can't help people permanently. You're just inducing a sense of like false happiness into them. Why is temporary happiness considered false? That's what I want to know. Why would that be considered false if it's actually warming people up? Like, see, the thing is, compare to something like, I don't know, the Great Depression, for example, where Franklin D. Roosevelt, my favorite president, actually took the time to introduce a lot of short-term responses to things. Like, he was worried about the long term, because obviously, who wouldn't be? But he knew that people needed help right there and then, even if it wouldn't last. You know, just to get people through a tough time. And so that's saying that it's not like we're gonna like roll out the New Deal or something and have like the most expensive government project in US history or blah 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 blah. But it kind of applies as well here, in the sense of getting people through a tough time, even if it is just for a short while. And yes, you shouldn't take responsibility. It shouldn't like feel like that's your responsibility to do it. But the thing is that people out there, myself included, that wants to do that for people, that wants to help others, that wants to see them happy, even just for a little bit. And sometimes you can choose like new philosophies and new ways of thinking, because I've done that with people. That sometimes I'll tell them like an alternative point of view to see their troubles through, because from a detached point of view, you can actually do that. That's the thing people say about mental health, is that yes, not everyone's a therapist, obviously, but having a conversation can help. That's why there are so many movements like hashtag Britain Get Talking, or Time to Talk, Time to Change. All of those, they're there for a reason. Like, obviously, you know, if 1 in 4 people have a mental health issue, you can't get to everyone as a therapist. So you have to do that as a therapist, if you know what I mean. And that's why I keep telling, that's why they used to call me Jacob Buster, the team therapist. Like, that's something that happens. Like, I'm not claiming to have all the solutions, people, but I can offer them a different point of view. Sometimes I can't help, and in which case, someone else steps in. That's what friends are for. So that's why I think it's a mistake for anyone out there who's going through issues and that thinks that no one can say anything to help them. That's why I think it's a mistake to think that, and to isolate yourself even more during, the time of quarantine, to just yourself. Yes, we all need alone time. Like I need alone time as much as anyone else, as a creative type, maybe more so. But when it boils down to it, we're naturally evolved to be social animals, like in some way or another. Yes, there are people who are introverts, others are extroverts, but yes, we, as a species, we are meant to be social in whatever capacity we end up doing. So, in a way, it doesn't really matter if you end up. It doesn't really matter if you end up, not being able to make a permanent difference. I know, just a conversation. Just talk to people. Talk to me if you want. Like, I don't know, anyone in the comments out there, just reach out to me or something. I'll do what Roxy does. Maybe give people the server to actually have things looking through. And bear in mind that I don't know everyone as well. Like, this is in this example, this is a friend of mine of about a year now, so I know her quite well. In other instances, maybe not so much, but just talk to your friends. It doesn't really matter. Just reach out to someone. You might be surprised, and dare I say, you'll be pleasantly surprised in most instances. Boy, that got off topic. That's another ranty one today. Okay, I had to get back. I've wound up at the border of Enchanted Forest, so let's actually I'm gonna wander up there anyway and see what there is, but I think I'll sign off here for now. So yeah, I hope that no one else decides to leave or anything like that, because ultimately, even then, issues or not, we'll miss whoever goes. I'll miss whoever goes. Like, a lot of people just decide to quit and block with no notice, or I end up having to fire them or something else. It's all happening now. So, I know. Just know that I'm there, I'm always here. I do these every week, so I won't be away for long, no matter what happens. So, please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And on that slightly somber note, until next time, farewell.